Welcome everyone, this is On This Restart, and this time we're talking about a theory I have for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. So when we take a look at the latest trailer where they revealed both the title and release date for this game, in the first part of the trailer, there are some stone wall depictions with different hieroglyphs and characters. But there's this one part in particular where we see somebody hanging in midair, and in my opinion this character is likely to be an incarnate of Zelda, and my theory is that she's being used as a sacrifice for the resurrection of Ganondorf. Or rather, whoever was the Demon King at the time of these stone wall depictions. So the theory basically is, this time around again, there's going to be an attempt to use Zelda as a sacrifice for the resurrection of Ganondorf. That's what we're focusing on today. Now before we jump into things, let me first very quickly talk about my social media. You may see a few different things here on screen. You can check that all out. It's linked in the description below. And of course, if you like what you're seeing here, you can subscribe or perhaps consider joining as a member. So first, let's talk about who this character is. I believe it's another incarnation of Zelda from the past. However, I've seen people argue other things. It could simply be just another random character. I've seen people even argue that this is Ganondorf, and I've seen people argue that it's just another character we don't know about, or even the current Zelda. I disagree with all of those. I think it's pretty clearly a previous incarnation of Princess Zelda, but I will suspend my disbelief a little bit here and concede that it could be just another character that we don't know about. I'll agree to that. But it's definitely not Ganondorf. This character to me is very clearly being depicted as a female. We see them wearing a dress, they have long hair, they're not sporting any sort of very clear, obvious depictions of what would be Ganondorf or any sort of powerful Gerudo, or even sort of a masculine look. This is a feminine look in my opinion, so that leads itself more towards Princess Zelda, especially when we take a look at the other depictions in the trailer. We take a look at this weird looking character with the long ears. We do see a shot where seemingly this same character here, where we see her hanging, is holding hands with this long-eared character. To me, that strongly suggests likely an important female character in the series, The Legend of Zelda. That's usually the first character I would jump to. It's possible it could be someone else, but everything else that we're going to be talking about here I think leads itself more towards it more clearly being an incarnation of Zelda or some sort of substitute for that, and we'll get to that. But now let's talk about what's happening with this character. I've seen some people suggest that this character is falling down, similar to how we see Princess Zelda falling down in the first and second trailers for Tears of the Kingdom back when we just called it Breath of the Wild 2 or the sequel to Breath of the Wild. But in my opinion, this is not depicting a character falling down unless they're showing this image upside down. Because if she was falling down, the hair, the arms, the dress, the feet, they would be bent in the opposite direction, because that's how air resistance and gravity work together. That's what would occur. This to me seems more like she's being pulled up and different parts of her body are being weighed down by gravity. Something similar to what we've seen throughout history of different fictions where a character is being raised up by some sort of evil or magical energy and they're being used as some sort of sacrifice. We even have a similar depiction from previous Zelda games. One in particular I'll be focusing on is Skyward Sword. So you see, in Skyward Sword, Zelda was used as a sacrifice to resurrect the Demon King, Demise. We can even see it here in the footage. She's in a very, very similar position, and her life essence was used to bring back the Demon King Demise, and it happened. I think what we're seeing here in the trailer is a very similar event. The thing about The Legend of Zelda is that there are histories and similarities and destinies, and sometimes events that happened in the past can be used again. And this concept of Zelda being used as a sacrifice to resurrect the Demon King, it's definitely a plausible plot beat in the story. And even if it's not going to be happening again in Tears of the Kingdom, this is a depiction of what happened in the past. So it could even be telling us a story of what happened with Princess Zelda in Skyward Sword, or an entirely different time where Zelda was used as a sacrifice to resurrect the Demon King. My opinion, this is a different character from a different time, simply telling about an event that just so happens to be similar to what happened in Skyward Sword. The main point here that there's a history of Zelda being used as a sacrifice to resurrect the Demon King. So when we take a look at the shot again, if you pay close attention to the bottom, you will see little pieces of red and brown and darkish colors like that, very similar to the mouse we've seen in the previous trailers and Breath of the Wild. And when we take another look at this trailer, we just see other parts where we see this mouse again depicted on the wall, where we see armies of Ganondorf, the different bokoblins and such. And this makes sense given what we saw in the first trailer with the wall depictions, with Ganondorf leading an army and the mouse erupting from his body, rushing through these tombs or underground areas we see in the first trailer. It seems to add up here. It seems like the mouse has some sort of power that pulls or is attracted toward things, and it's at the very least definitely a form of representation for the evil of Ganon or Ganondorf. This female character that I believe to be a previous incarnation of Zelda as a sacrifice. Now, we don't know exactly what's happening to the right. I wouldn't be surprised if it's some sort of witch doctor or evil character using her as a sacrifice to bring back the Demon King, Ganon, Ganondorf, Demise, whoever was that version at the time. So what I find fascinating about this is that I believe this to be another connection to Skyward Sword. As we said, this happened in the past in Skyward Sword, and we've already seen some different connections to Skyward Sword. There's this huge emphasis on the sky. There are these sky areas, there's a sky realm, and something that's fascinating about both Skyward Sword and what we're seeing with Tears of the Kingdom is when we take a look at the clouds from below, we can't see the sky realm. We don't see it in Breath of the Wild, we don't see it in the previous trailers before Tears of the Kingdom, and when we take a look at Skyward Sword, it actually sort of answers why this would be the case, because you see in Skyward Sword, this cloud barrier made the entire sky realm, Skyloft, not visible to those on the surface. Something very similar could be happening in Tears of the Kingdom. That's what we've seen. But there is this huge emphasis on the sky exploration. There's clearly connections there. And when we take a look at the first trailer for Tears of the Kingdom, we do see Ganondorf coming back to life, and we even see, for a small moment, this flash of light that shows a silhouette, suggesting what he probably looked like in the past, potentially. Especially because it's like black and white, which is usually symbolism for the past. And the shape, in my opinion, is very Demise-like. And Demise is the villain from Skyward Sword, the one that was resurrected by using Zelda as a sacrifice. Now, Demise is basically the initial Ganon or Ganondorf. His evil spirit comes back time and time again, taking on different individuals, and for many games, this spirit of evil has been taken up by Ganon, and he's survived for many generations, many different games, including Breath of the Wild and now Tears of the Kingdom, where we see him coming back to life in both the first and second trailer. How is he coming back to life? Well, we do see Zelda take a great fall in the first and second trailer. We do see that she is close to Ganondorf when he comes back to life. Now, maybe he's not fully back to life yet, and Zelda simply falls down a hole and we don't know exactly where she is. But there could be a big plot point for the game where Ganondorf is seeking out Zelda and she's in hiding because he needs her to come back fully to power. And considering that we have various Yiga throughout the world of Breath of the Wild and presumably Tears of the Kingdom, followers of the Demon King or Ganon, they may want to chase down Zelda so they can use her to bring Ganondorf back to full power, similar to how Girahim was seeking out Zelda in Skyward Sword. And it should be noted, Master Koga, the leader of the Yiga in Breath of the Wild, fell down a hole and he promised that we would meet again. So I do think there will be a plot point in Tears of the Kingdom where there are Yiga in the lower parts of Hyrule, where Zelda may also be because we saw her falling down a hole in an already deep area of Hyrule, and maybe they're seeking her out because they want to use her as a sacrifice to bring Ganondorf fully back to life, and not just in this mummified form. Now, that may not exactly be how things go down, but I think one thing is clear. This depiction is showing this character being taken advantage of by the evil malice of Ganon, and considering the history of Zelda and considering this positioning here, it may very well be some form of a sacrifice, This has happened in the past, and it's going to be alluded to in Tears of the Kingdom. And I think there's a very high likelihood that it will have something to do with the plot points surrounding Zelda in Tears of the Kingdom, which is quite a mystery right now because we don't know just how much of a presence she'll have throughout the story of Tears of the Kingdom. Will she just be a princess that we have to save or find? Is she dead? Will she be a part of the gameplay? We don't know. But I think when we take a look at this depiction of this character being used as a sacrifice, there's a very strong possibility that the current Zelda is going to have something to do with this sort of storyline again, where they want her as a sacrifice to bring Ganondorf back to full life or to be stronger than ever before. But those are my own personal thoughts on what may be going on here, what's being depicted by this image in the trailer, and how it could be relating to Princess Zelda. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways everyone, this is On Just Restart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.